Hello everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy Tactics Omega. Let me check if I'm recording. Yes, it seems so. So we're back, and like I said, this one we'll try to talk a bit about the stats and what is what here. So I think first off we'll begin with the level and XP here, like I iterated in the previous episode. So on the left we have the level of our character. This goes from 1 to basically 99, and it works like that every 100 experience earned you get a level up, and attacking disproportionately underleveled enemies to you gives you less XP, but attacking equal and stronger enemies gives you more than that. Yeah, here we have HP. HP is your standard health points value. Determines, well, how many hits you can take before you die. And, well, various things like weaknesses, special abilities, etc. Everything does different types of damage. So if you run out of those, you're dead. But it's not like you die. When it goes to 0, you die and it's game over. When this goes to 0 in a unit that's not critical for the current map, and the unit basically falls down, he lies on the ground, and there's a counter. It counts down from 3 to 0, and decrements every turn the unit has, so slower units will basically lie down longer, which is to your benefit sometimes. If you fail to revive them in that time, they either turn to a crystal or to a treasure chest. Turning to a treasure chest means they will randomly drop their equipment, but turning into a crystal means that they, well, you can learn skills from that unit if you have the appropriate classes unlocked and you don't know those skills. You can learn them, or you can use the crystal to restore your HP and MP to full. So be wary of that, because when enemies turn to crystal, other enemies can and will pick those up. So don't let a hard fight reset itself like that. So anywho, next we have MP. Oh, yeah, forgot that we can ask the game for some pointers. So basically, it represents magic points. So you use those to cast, well, magic. So if you run out of those, there's no more casting. Various magics cost different amounts of magic points, and in mods, also some abilities that didn't cost magic in the original didn't cost MP in the original, cost MP in the mods. That's a quite frequent thing. I think FFT 1.3 started it. The first mods started it as a part of rebalancing. So skills like the Knight's break skills, etc. cost MP. So you won't spam them all the fight. I will check that, because I think they do cost. I will check that in a moment again. Next we have CT. CT basically means charge time, yeah, and it indicates how far from its next turn the current unit is. It charges from 0 to 100. Doing various amounts of actions cost various amounts of CT, like moving and attacking basically costs all of it. Moving only costs a part of it, and attacking only costs a chunk of it, if I recall correctly. And yeah, well, when it reaches 100, your unit can take its turn. We have this on the right side. So I'm wondering, do I go into it now? I have some notes, so to make sure that I don't forget to say something to you. Okay, yeah, I can go on this side as well. So here's your unit's name, and yeah, they have something to say when you're in your party roster and you click on the name. Under the name you have the class, the current class the unit is in. So you can see a short class or job description, and in this mode every job has passives active while you're in this job, so be sure to check those out so you won't get surprised when something takes less damage than it should. So there's that. Here we have the... sorry about that. We have the zodiac sign. And like I said, zodiac signs actually govern something more than just, well, lore and flair. Let me check. I do have that on one of my notes. Basically, they govern the compatibility with other zodiac signs, and depending on the compatibility, you can either have, well, good or bad. I think there was neutral, but I may be wrong. But having good compatibility with another character means that what I was gonna say means that you do increased damage, increased restorative abilities, and the success rate of status ailments or other actions. And having a bad compatibility means the exact opposite. Do less damage, restore less HP when healing, and the success rate of status effects and other things drops down. So yeah, you can check the descriptions of what sign is compatible with what sign here when you click on this symbol. So in case you can't remember those, don't worry, you have that here. Oh yeah, now I need to talk about Brave and Faith that you see here, because those are actually quite important. So Brave here, this is just a short description, more of a flavor description, but Brave actually governs a lot more than this. You'd be surprised, because first off, let's start how they scale. They scale from a 0 to 100 for each character, and that also counts monsters. So that's one thing. The other thing is you cannot raise this by equipment in any way, but there are abilities that raise or lower those. That's one thing. Also, while raising or lowering, it's not a permanent raise. I mean, it is permanent, but the amount you raise isn't the amount that gets permit after battle, because the one that you gain is equal to a quarter of that what you gain. There are skills that, for example, one use of a skill increases your brave by 15, but you won't get 15 after battle, you get a quarter of that, rounded down. And that becomes a permanent addition to your brave. Well, for some reason it works like that. Well, I guess the skills do increase or decrease by a lot, so I thought they thought this would be more fair in a way, but okay. So what does it do? Bravery actually does come into a lot of calculations, and I'm quite surprised. I always was surprised that the game gives you this help, but it basically does not tell you anything. So, if you allow me to explain, Bravery actually affects reaction abilities, like, for example, counter or restore HP reaction ability, etc. Those reaction abilities that I showed you in the unit screen that had that little lightning symbol, those are the reaction abilities. So, yeah, that means the higher the bravery stat your character has, the more likely the ability will trigger. For example, you'll be more likely to counter, etc., etc. That's one thing. And the other thing is, high bravery actually does come into effect when calculating some damage types. For example, damages with fists, or damages with the heavy knight swords. Things like that. What else? I think, if I recall correctly, there are some abilities that take into account bravery as well. I think the newly added in the PSP version Dark Knight abilities. Actually, the Fell Sword abilities is affected by that. Not so sure, but I think there were. Let me check. Let me check my notes. Yeah, I think it does, but not all. I think Unholy Sacrifice, definitely, and something else. Anywho, other than that, some monster abilities are also affected by that, such as Tiamat's breath abilities, or I think Dryad's abilities. No, they are not affected, sorry, those are not affected. I think, sorry about that. I think, no, sorry, I got it messed up. Monster abilities, outside of that, Dryad ability and Tiamat's abilities are affected by Brave. So, like, I think Shoko Attack or Goblin Punch, those are affected. Basically, it's most abilities that monsters have in their first slot, because there are the basic physical abilities of each monster, so those should be affected by that. There will be later a system of errands our characters can go on, and the rewards from those errands are actually affected by the Brave stats, believe it or not. Don't know why that is, but they actually thought about that. Yeah, also there is a funny thing that if you decrease a unit's bravery stat beneath 10 in a battle, it will actually get the chicken status, and I think in the original they turned into a chicken. I think here is still the thing. I don't recall. Well, I don't know with the mod because I didn't play the mod, but yeah, they normally turned into chickens. So that's that. Oh yeah, and too low brave will make the character abandon your team. So be sure to not lower the brave and below that. But thing is, you will ask me why, if bravery is so good, you would want to lower it. Actually, this comes to work if you are using Find Item. There is a skill, move Find Item, named in the original. I don't remember how the PSP version names it. Which basically means there are some hidden tiles on maps that if you move onto them, if you don't have Move Find Item, you'll get hit by a trap. But if you have Move Find Item, you'll find an item there. And there is a percentage chance that it will be a normal item, or a lower percentage chance that this will be a rare item. So the lower your bravery, the higher the chance of a rare item. So be sure to remember that. Especially in the bonus dungeon, which houses some of the most powerful equipment in the game, and you would want that bravery stat lower to actually find it. That's the important thing. So, on this side we have Faith. Faith is basically the magical counterpart of bravery. So, yeah, it actually gets calculated into magical attacks as well. What can I say about Faith? It basically affects magic damage, healing magic, the amount of HP they restore, and the success of status effect magics. Yeah, so the higher the magics, the better the higher the Faith, the better the magics work. But thing is, Faith is a double-edged sword here because, well, your magic works good, but having high Faith means enemy magic also works good. So, if you have high chance of landing stats effects, so does the enemy. So be sure to watch out for that. Problem is, you can also rise and lower Faith, but in contrast to Bravery, having too high Faith can mean the unit will leave your party. But too low Faith will give you, I think it's Atheist status effect, and basically means that magic doesn't do anything to you. So that's kinda cool thing they thought about. Faith also comes into calculation to the rewards in errands, like Brave. Yeah. But it's not all errands. I think most are governed by bravery. Or was it some give you more if you have high and some give you more if you have low? I think it was like that. It depends on the errand actually. There's a couple of more things that are dependent on faith, but I will leave those things when the game introduces them to us. Because I won't want to spoil one thing. I do not want to spoil one thing for people who didn't play the game, so I will keep quiet here for a moment. We'll get to that soon, I assure you. I think in the next chapter? Yeah, in the second chapter we'll see those things. So, let's move to this screen, the more complicated one on first glance. So move. Move is basically means how far in tiles your units can move. Jump is how high of a verticality your units can traverse. So if you have move 5, but for example jump 1, you won't always move 5 tiles if the difference in height between the tiles is too much. So yeah, everything higher than 1 would mean that you wouldn't be able to get there. Ramza here has 3, so everything higher than 3 means he won't jump there, so be careful with that. Speed. Speed is, well, I would say one of the most important stat, honestly, due to the mechanics of the game. Basically, this means how fast a current character gets his next turn. So the higher speed you have, the more turns you will earn. And it's relative to the speed of your opponents. For example, if Ramza has 12, but his opponents have 8, you'll be able to move quite more frequently than your opponents. But if everyone else has, for example, 12, that changes the equation. Or if people have more than 12, there are a lot of abilities that can change your speed, so be also wary of those. They can make you either faster or slower, so you watch out for those that make you slower. What else? I think, if I recall correctly, higher speed improves the effectiveness of certain job abilities, like steal or jump. I don't know if there are weapon types. I think there are weapon types affected by that as well. So yeah, I honestly think that the way charge time, speed, and turn order is implemented in this game is a bit iffy. Because, well, we'll get to that later in the game, but when you have more speedy units, there are some... The magic system basically kinda crumbles due to the units being able to move fast outside of your range or disable you before you get to cast. Unless you use a certain ability, but I'll get to that later, which helps you with that, but that means that ability becomes mandatory on all casters, which is not a great thing if you ask me. But anywho, what else? Weapon power. Yeah. So basically, we have weapon attack and block rates. How do we tackle this? Let me look at my notes for a moment to see if I have anything good written here. No, I don't think I've got anything written about that. Or do I? Wait a moment so I can check. No, I don't have anything. So anywho, as the game says, one of the numbers is the weapon's attack power, and one of the numbers is the weapon's evasion. So basically the one when you have the 005 is the weapon's attack power, the currently equipped weapon's attack power. Yeah, this doesn't say it, but it's 5. And the 10% is the evasion bonus that you get from the weapon. But problem is, you also have evasions here. And you say, how does that work? So yeah, as first you can see, you have the EV here is the evasion, and you will see that you have 3 types of evasion, and that's, oh, how does that work? Well, let's break this down one by one. So this one, character evasion. So basically, this evasion number comes from the current job or class the character is. that gives him any inherent bonuses. And like the game says, top and bottom values represent physical and magical respectively here. Those icons here help. Also, this stat governs the attack stat of your physical and magical abilities. And those come into damage equations. So the higher the better here. So we got attack, we have character evasion. Next we have shield evasion. And basically this comes from the equipped shield. So if you don't have any shield like we do now, you have 0 here. That's kinda normal, logical, very good. Then, so if this is character and this is shield, you'll probably guess that this one is accessory. Yeah. This governs the evasion you get from accessories. There are a lot of accessories, basically all cloaks and capes, that give various degrees of bonus to evasion. Some capes really give you a lot, so be sure to take that into mind when you're building a tank. Yeah, so you could sum it up as evasion for physical attacks depends basically on what shield you have and wait, let me reiterate that. Evasion, you have to take into account physical or magical attacks. Basically, for physical attacks, it's a bit more complicated because there are various directions the attack can come from. For example, up front, up sides, or in the back. The character evasion is effective against attacks from the front, basically. And shield evasion is effective from the side and from the front. But not from the back, because you don't have eyes on your back and you can't block from the back, like that. But accessory evasion comes into the equation from all sides. So be sure to remember that when you're attacking a certain evasive enemy and you're not sure why you have various degrees of percentages. Also, there are some attacks that are unblockable. So be sure to keep that in mind. As for magical evasion, shield and accessory is effective against magic attacks regardless of direction, because it's magic. You know what? Giving a fireball to the face has no matter if you get it from the front or from the back, it's a fireball in the face. I don't think any job has magic evasion naturally, so you gotta get that from items. As for how do those three interact, they do not stack per se. They are multiplicative. They're combined multiplicatively. So, well, for example, let's get an example. For example, let's say you have a shield that gives you 50% and cloak that gives you 50% evasion. So the shield reduces a hit rate from the front by 50%, for example. So yeah, that's normal, it reduces it by 50%. But then, this means that the cloak will decrease that further by another 50%. So, not minus, but multiplicative. So it means you'll get a 25 hit percent rate, not 0 hit percent rate. So you can't be... can't go all funny on the guy and just stack pure evasion and get 0 chance to hit from enemies. It doesn't work like that. You get diminishing returns because of the multiplicatively stacking bonuses, you know. Also, you're being in a high problem if an enemy has the abilities, like I said, that make that ignore evasion or gives them increased accuracy. There are abilities like that, so be sure to remember that. Anyhow, here we have equipment slots. So you have your right hand, you have your left hand, you have your head slot, you have your chest slot for armor, and you have your accessory slot. Next up we have abilities. Here's your primary ability, and that is always the ability of the current class the unit is in. Here you have a secondary ability slot, which you can slot depending on which abilities from which classes you have learned, so think of it as a sub-class ability. Here, that kind of lightning bolt arc arrow is your reaction abilities. Those abilities are triggered by incoming damage. Like I said, you can counter, you can restore HP, you can give yourself a status bonus, things like that. Here, you have support abilities, passive abilities. Abilities equipped here are basically always on, so those are kinda nice. The last slot is the movement slot abilities, movement abilities. So basically those trigger every move you make, regardless if it's 1 tile, 5 tiles or half a map. So those are also useful. In the job menu you have the job wheel, and you can change to various jobs your unit has learned. Those grey out ones are jobs that someone in your active party has unlocked, but your current guy cannot change it into him, but you can always view what are the prerequisites into the class, because most advanced classes have prerequisites. And like I said in the beginning, basically each tree of classes begins from either a squire or an alchemist. Squires are the basis for melee classes and alchemists are basis for magic classes. Later down the road we need various levels of different advanced classes, and there are also hybrid classes that some need a bit more magic and physical levels. So yeah, that's kind of fun later down the road. Here we also have the abilities tab, which you can assign various abilities you have learned, or learn abilities from the current class you have equipped. As you can see here, oh, I can't actually point an arrow here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. First column is the job name, second is the current level your character has in that job, and third and fourth are JP thresholds. Next is how much JP you need to level up in the class. Total is how much you gained. And the last column JP is your current amount of JP which you have to spend, which you have and you can spend on various abilities. For example, Throwstone costs 0, so I can do that. Guard break. Okay, it goes through barriers, so I would like to take that. And it costs 40 JP, and as you will see, it decreased from my overall total, and I have 190 now. So that's good. Fender is also here for free. Defense stance is for free. All in all, not bad at all. So be sure to remember to slot in your abilities, so you don't go empty-handed into a fight. Okay, we're equipped. So I think that's most of what we wanted. We have covered. Oh, the Blade Knight has a cape equipped, as you can see. That means his accessory is at 5% from the cape, and he has a shield that gives him 20. It's pretty nice, pretty nice. Oh, that was a long explanation. And this is only just the beginning. I'll explain things later on when we get to them. Now we have the map. You move by pointing to an dot and pressing the confirm button. There are a couple of types of dots. Big blue dots, like this one, is a city dot. You can enter it, you can go to a tavern to learn some information, some rumors, you can go to the shop, and you can buy soldiers. There is a smaller dot, which can be, which is first red when you haven't been to that place. Later it can turn into a small blue dot or a small green dot. Small blue dot means it's a story place, but it has been visited, so visiting it another time won't give you anything. And it's not a town because it's a small dot, so you don't have any interactions. A green dot is a place where you can fight random battles. So let's try to move. Oh, well, cutscene time. Well, maybe not cutscene, but story time would be more appropriate. Barbanev Beowulf, a great hero in his own right, who had attained the distinguished title of Knight Gallant, approaches the hour of his death. The Beowulfmans, in the waning days of the 50 Years' War. Also, I hope I'm pronouncing the the name of the House Beowulf correctly. So, what news of the war? This is Ramza's half-brother, Zalbag. The Order has struck a great blow. Limber is ours once more. We'll be able to recall our forces in Zoltania Anon. All goes as planned, Lord Father. Be not troubled. Dice Dark is Ramza's second half-brother. The envoy dispatched to advocate Lenario has returned. He had agreed to your proposal, Lord Father. Good. Very good. Then the war will die with me. Yeah, you hope that. Alma is, surprise, Ramza's sister, not half-sister, because the situation is kinda colorful in the Buell family. So Alma and Ramza have the same mother, but Zalbak and Dice Dark have a different mother from Alma and Ramza. There now, Alma. Do you want my last memory to be of your tears? Where's that Ramza? He should be at your side. Dice Dark Zalbak, you are dear to me, but Ramza is no less so, though he be not the issue of the womb that bore you, my sons. Still my blood curses his veins. Watch over him. Yeah, and that part will kinda get iffy along the way, as you can imagine, as things are in those types of situations. Lord Father, he shouted. You forget yourself, Ramza. And the original, he said, lower your voice. You have come. Good. Let me look once more on your face. See, this is actually even quite hard to read out loud if you don't know what he'll say. That ye old English script, I don't know why did they do that. Ugh. How long has it been? You've grown into a fine young man. I would hear of your studies. You've been at the academy since spring, is it? Hear me. For generations, we Beowulfs have stood foremost of those who serve the crown. Ours is the soul of the knight. Become a knight worthy of your name. Tolerate no injustice. Stray not from the true path. You'll know the path you must walk. A Beowulf can walk no other. I will not fail you, father. Your friend, Delita. He's a good boy. He's low-born, but he can serve you well. I made arrangements for him to enter the academy. You should have seen the look on the headmaster's face. In the years ahead of you, you'll need someone who you can trust. You could do far worse than Delita. I don't know about that, man. Honestly, I don't know about that. Take care of your sister. And show these brothers of yours what it is to be a knight. And he's dead. He actually is. You would have thought you'd have alchemists here, but let me check the recording time. Whoa. So my explanation was kinda on the long side, and well, I don't think it's a good idea to start the next mission now, so this will be, I'll have this type of a long explanation only once, so you must forgive me for that. The next one, I'll just focus on the battles, and if I have something to explain about a new mechanic, new system, or something else that comes into mind, I'll do that whilst in battle, or whilst doing some management in an inventory or on the party. So this will be only once, so please forgive me for that. I just wanted to make sure we're in the same state of knowledge, at least in this part of the game, so everyone knows what anything that I can use does. So I hope to see you on the next one, and thank you for listening. Bye bye, and cześć!